Harinam Sankirtan ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Gaur Premanandi. Rudy, can you push it half a meter more to the back? Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 23rd chapter. Pritam Raj going back home, text number 14. Sampidyapayum parshnibhyam Sampidyapayum parshnibhyam Vayumutsarayanchanai Vayumutsarayanchanai Nabhyam Koshteshvavastapya Nabhyam Koshteshvavastapyam Ridyurakanta Shirshani Ridyurakanta Shirshani Sampidyapayum parshnibhyam Vayumutsarayanchanai Nabhyam Koshteshvavastapya Ridyurakanta Shirshani Sampidyapayum parshnibhyam Vayumutsarayanchanai Nabhyam Kosteshu Avastapya Ridyurakanta Shirsani. Uno más. Sampidyapayam parshnibhyam Vayumutsarayanchanai Nabhyam Kosteshu Avastapya Urakanta Sirshani. Sampidya by blocking. Payum, the door of the anus. Parshnibhyam, by the calves. Vayum, the air which goes up. Utsarayan, pushing upward. Shanai, gradually. Nabhyam, by the navel. Koshteshu, in the heart and in the throat. Avastapya, fixing. Rit, in the heart. Uraha, upward. Kanta, throat. Shirshani, between the two eyebrows. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivinoda Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. When Maharaj Prithu practiced the particular yogic sitting posture, he blocked the doors of his anus with his ankles, pressed his right and left calves, and gradually raised his life hair upward. Does it say doors or door in your version?
Doors.
Plural. Pressed his right and left calves and gradually raised his life hair upward, passing it on to the circle of his navel, up to the heart and throat, and finally pushed it upward to the central position between his two eyebrows. Purport. The sitting posture described herein is called Muktasana. In the yoga process, after following the strict regulative principles controlling sleeping, eating, and mating, one is allowed to practice the different sitting postures. The ultimate aim of yoga is to enable one to give up his body according to his own free will. One who has attained the ultimate summit of yoga practice can live in the body as long as he likes, or as long as he is not completely perfect. Leave the body to go anywhere within or outside the universe. Some yogis leave their bodies to go to the higher planetary systems and enjoy the material facilities therein. However, intelligent yogis do not wish to waste their time within this material world at all. They do not care for the material facilities in higher planetary systems, but are interested in going directly to the spiritual sky, back home, back to Godhead. From the description in this verse, it appears that Maharaj Prithu had no desire to promote himself to the higher planetary systems. He wanted to return home immediately, back to Godhead. Although Maharaj Prithu stopped all practice of mystic yoga after realizing Krishna consciousness, he took advantage of his previous practice and immediately placed himself on the Brahma Bhuta platform in order to accelerate his return to Godhead. The aim of this particular system of asana, known as the sitting posture for liberation, or Muktasana, is to attain success in Kundalini chakra and gradually raise the life from the Muladhara chakra to the Svadhisthana chakra, then to the Manipura chakra, the Anatahata chakra, the Vishuddha chakra, and finally to the Agya chakra. When the yogi reaches the Agya chakra between the two eyebrows, he is able to penetrate the Brahmarandra, or the hole in his skull, and go to any planet he desires, up to the spiritual kingdom of Vaikuntha or Krishnaloka. The conclusion is that one has to come to the Brahmabhuta stage for going back to Godhead. However, those who are in Krishna consciousness or who are practicing Bhakti Yoga, Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu, Smaranam, Parasevanam, can return to Godhead without even practicing the Muktasana process. The purpose of Muktasana practice is to come to the Brahmabhuta stage. For without being on the Brahmabhuta stage, one cannot be promoted to the spiritual sky. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 14:26, Mam chayo vyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. The bhakti yogi practicing bhakti yoga is always situated on the Brahmabhuta stage, brahma bhuyaya kalpate. If a devotee is able to continue on the Brahmabhuta platform, he enters the spiritual sky automatically after death and returns to Godhead. Consequently, a devotee need not feel sorry for not having practiced the Kundalini chakra or not penetrating the 6 chakras one after another. As far as Maharaj Prithu was concerned, he had already practiced this process, and since he did not want to wait for the time when his death would occur naturally, he took advantage of the Sat chakra penetration process and thus gave up the body according to his own free will and immediately entered the spiritual sky. Sampidyapayum parshnibhyam vayum utsarayam chanai nabhyam koste shravastapya riturakam tashir sani. When Maharaj Prithu practiced a particular yogic sitting posture, he blocked the doors of his anus with his ankles, pressed his right and left calves, and gradually raised his life hair upward, passing it on to the circle of his navel, up to his heart and throat, and finally pushed it upward to the central position between his two eyebrows. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Giranjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Ginamayam Dadati Svapadantikam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Siyadvaita Giradhar Shiva Sri Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripadamam Vande Sri Guru Dinataranam Paramanam Madhavam Sri Chaitanyeshwaram Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. So here we have a description of the technical yoga process called Kundalini Yoga, or attaining control over one's physical and psychic faculties through the process of yoga. Yet, as Srila Prabhupada points out, this requires a preliminary control of, as he puts it here, controlling the sleeping, eating, and mating. Because in the ninefold, or in the Astanga Yoga process, it's the ninefold Bhakti process, it's the eightfold yogic process. The eightfold Ashtanga Yoga is Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahar, Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So first comes Yama, Niyama, things to do and things not to do. And that's where 99.999% of the so-called yogis fail, because they don't know, or they don't care to know, and hardly anyone cares to follow these strictures. So, no need to get into details. That's why they cannot attain the higher forms of yoga. So before you practice asana, before you practice pranayama, before you do dharana, dhyana, and samadhi, all that meditative, turning the senses inward, focusing, completely dedicating, and absorbing yourself in the Supreme, you have to do certain things. What is that? Shuchao Deshe. You have to be in a holy place. You can't be in the city. It doesn't work that way. You have to be in a holy place, in a very sattvic, peaceful place. You have to be in good association. You have to live a sattvic lifestyle, not do the things that are prohibited. Follow the regulative principles for starts. And then there's many more technical descriptions of things what you have to do and not to do. So it is impossible nowadays for people to follow this system. That's why we're not getting into the technicalities of Kundalini practice, even though it sounds quite exciting, especially for people who have ulterior motives. But people who really want to attain perfection should follow the process of this age. What is the process for this age? Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Iva Kevalam, Kalau Nastyeva, 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 Gatiranyata. It is Harer Nama. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Now someone might say, but if I practice Hatha Yoga, won't that enhance, won't that help my Bhakti Yoga practice? Well, it is secondary. It might. But if it leads to confusion, if it leads to distraction, if it leads to arrogance, then it is an obstacle. Just like as a side effect of the yoga practice, one will acquire yogic siddhis. Anima, Lagima, Prapti, Prakasami. All these different yogic practices. You can read minds, you can influence people, you can get things from far, you can get things done, you can do many things. Now, who wouldn't want to do that, right? And then they become absorbed in those activities, and they get sidetracked, they get hijacked, and they want to promote themselves to a higher state of not just spiritual awareness, but mostly to a higher state of control and enjoyment in this world. So that is an obstacle, that is a distraction for the serious practitioner, because a serious practitioner is focused on the goal. They only want to achieve their desired objective. They're not interested in all these preliminary or side places that are, possible to attain. So, if somebody wants to take the scenic route, then that is possible, but you may get sidetracked. You may get enamored if you don't take the direct path. You may think, oh, this is a nice place. Let me stay here for a while, for a few years, for a few decades, for a few lifetimes. And all of a sudden, one gets again caught up in the material world. Have you noticed how this can happen? All of a sudden you're in a nice place and you think like, yeah, I could be here for a while. And all of a sudden you get stuck. So don't get stuck in your spiritual progress by thinking, I'm good. What is the conditioning of a person in the mode of goodness? There are two conditionings that are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Two downsides to the mode of goodness. Why is good not good enough? Yes, I already know. Have you ever met somebody who said, I already know? I'm good. Then we tell them, well, we could always be better. But they're already good. So when you're good, there's nowhere to go. You're there. And happiness. Have you met people who said, I'm fine, I'm happy. What's your problem? So that's a big conditioning. That's a big drawback. Why? Because it robs people of the drive, of the desire to evolve, to attain a higher state of consciousness. They feel, I have arrived. I'm in heaven. Or I'm in Surinam. Or I'm in California. Or I'm in Switzerland. Or I'm in whatever. You fill in the blanks. And you feel that this is the perfection of existence. And now you're one of the fortunate. And it's your duty now to create gated communities where you can secure and enjoy your new status that you have achieved. People want to achieve status. Whatever that might be. It might be anything. And then losing that status, that is the greatest fear. But we know, Abrahma bhuvana loka punaravartino arjuna mamupeta tu kaunteya. Last one. Punar janma navidyate. From the highest planet to the lowest planet, they're all places of misery. Why? Because janma mrityu jara vyadhi, birth, death, old age, and disease. Those are just side effects of this experience, and you cannot get rid of them, even though you might be Brahma. Brahma has a limited lifetime. He cannot grant immortality because he's not immortal himself. You can only give what you got. So, a devotee is not enamored by these yogic processes, or even by all the Vedic prescriptions that are there. A devotee is interested in one objective only, and that is pleasing Krishna. Because a devotee knows if Krishna is pleased, ismin tushte jagat tushtat. Yato yata taror mula nisechanena tripyanti taskanda bujo prashaka prano paharachya tendriyanam tataiva sarvaranam achuteja. Just like by watering the root of the tree, the branches, leaves, fruits, and flowers get nourished. By watering the root of your physical body, which means putting food into your stomach, all the limbs will get nourished. By pleasing Krishna, who is the root of all existence, everyone will get nourished and happy. I was giving a talk in Georgetown, Guyana, a few days ago, and one of the visitors was suggesting that you can do everything in the mind. You don't have to physically do it, like you can just think about it, and then that's good enough. That does it. And I challenged him by asking, well, if your spouse asks you to bring milk, and then you come home and the spouse says, where's the milk? And you say, well, I thought about it, you know, so I kind of did it in my mind. Will that be good enough? And he got upset. Why? Because I had defeated his argument, and he could not stand that. Huh? So what to do? What to do? Tough beings, such is life. In a similar way, we should not get sidetracked by all the Vedic injunctions. We should stay focused. One time, Pradyumna, who Prabhupada called Panditji, he's doing a fire sacrifice. So he asked Prabhupada, which kind of sacrifice should I do? You know, simple, elaborate, fancy? Because there's different ways how to do sacrifice. And Prabhupada leaned over and he said, shortcut. Shortcut. Which means just the basics. Don't exaggerate. Now we can see here in Surinam, because of the culture, because of the history, the tradition, people are attracted to fire sacrifices and all these things, right? How many people are in class? 4 and 3 online. How many people will show up if there's a fire sacrifice? A lot of people, right? A lot of people. Swaha, swaha, swaha. And everybody, hey, you know, punya, liberation, going places, getting things. That is very attractive. But how many people get up and chant their rounds? Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Huh? I was in South India, and I wanted to go and see my beloved Lord in Guruvayur. Yet I knew that you have to be a Hindu to go in there. So I came prepared. I went to Calicut, to the Arya Samaj, little shack, you know, and I paid my 500 rupees. I sat on the fire with some fat Muslim girl who wanted to get married to some Hindu, so she had to convert. And some elderly man was throwing mantras and lit a fire. I paid my 500 rupees and I got my certificate that now I'm not anymore my birth name, but now I'm Navina Nirada Das, which is the name that I gave them, my Hindu name, which I already had before, but and then I went to Guruvayur, and when the big panda, the big priest said, "Hey, white boy, you can't go in there," I took out my Arya Samaj certificate and said, "Look here, I am bona fide." And he said, "Okay, you may go see them." So it served its purpose. The gopis, they're worshipping Katyayani, Durga. For what? To get Krishna as their husband. Their only interest is Krishna. So if someone is attracted to worshipping demigods, then if you ask for their blessings to get Krishna's favor, that's not an obstacle. But then why would you go to a demigod to ask for any favors if you could get that favor directly from Krishna? Of course there is culture and tradition, and we respect that. Just like Rupa and Sanatan, they had worked for the Muslim government. They had adopted Muslim customs. They were known as Dabir Khas and Sakar Malik. They had practically converted to Islam. So later on, when Lord Chaitanya changed their names to Rupa and Sanatan, and they were devout followers and acharyas of our sampradaya, still they did not enter the Jagannath Puri temple because they did not want to upset people. They did not want to upset the local sentiment. So we should do the same thing. But we should not try to be holier than the Pope. You know what that means? Trying to be holier than the Pope. No? Don't try to be more Vedic than the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Just like now there's so many new ideas that are creeping also into our movement, which come from the other side of the river and from other groups and from other organizations. And you can get busy with Vedic procedures all day and every day of the year. There is something to do and something not to do. And you have to fast from this and fast from that, and on Monday you have to do this, and on Tuesday you have to do that, and you know, on and on. You have to respect the titi. You have to check what is the panchik. No, today we cannot go on Sankirtan. No, we can't drive a car. No, we can't go here. We can't do that. Do you ever meet people who say, somebody died, I can't give you a donation? I'm like, what's the logic in that? That will be the best benefit. Give a donation on behalf of the deceased person. Do something for Krishna. But no, they're stuck. They're a prisoner of their Vedic nonsense. Why is it nonsense? Because in regards to Krishna Bhakti, to satisfying Krishna, who is the root of existence, this makes no sense, right? So it is nonsense. Now for an ordinary person, a materialistic person, to follow all these rules is not a bad thing. Why? Because they will become regulated, they will become civilized, they will become human, they will become pious. They will gradually advance. But for a devotee, it's an obstacle. If we take the secondary to be primary, then naturally by default the primary will become secondary. What is the primary? Harinam Sankirtan. So when we get busy with fasting and rules and regulations and rituals, then the primary will become secondary. And we'll say, yeah, if we have a guest from abroad who insists that we go out, we'll go out. But otherwise we'll stay home. So we have to understand these points. Otherwise, you will find people who will start ending up trying to do Kundalini and doing, you know, this Samaj and that Samaj and this Sangha and that Sangha. And if you go to those places and you ask those people, what is the goal of your process? Some people will say going places, some people will say getting stuff. And all of that is really meaningless if you compare it to Krishna Prema Bhakti. So, these are some reflections on today's verse. We hope we have not upset anybody. Prabhupada was not into all these things. So we should follow our founder Acharya. We should not follow what grandma did or what someone, you know, learned somewhere else or heard or read somewhere else. We should follow our own sampradaya. Sampradaya vihinaye mantaste nishpalam mata. If we don't follow sampradaya, then your mantra will not bear fruit. It will not bear fruit. And Vaishnava mukot girnam bhutam harikatam ritam shravana naivakartavyam sarpa uchchishta yatapaya. Don't hear from people who are avaishnav, from people who are not Vaishnavs. Why? Sarpa uchchishta. You know what is sarpa uchchishta? The remnants of a serpent. If the serpent touches milk with their lips, the milk will become poisonous. So even though they may recite Bhagavat, they may quote Shastra, they may do yagyas, but if their attitude is Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moha, Mada, Matsarya, if their attitude is envy, envy towards Krishna, envy towards the devotees, envy towards the process of bhakti, then it will not be effective. In fact, it will be poisonous. It will be to your detriment. Now, how do we know that a person is envious? Well, it's very easy to see. It's very easy to see. What is the criteria of an envious person? They cannot stand if someone else does something different. They cannot stand if someone else is not under their control, under their subjugation. They cannot stand if someone else is happy and they're not, or they're more successful in what they do. So, that is a sign of envy. And we have to check ourselves, and that's why we have Sadhu Sangha and this ISKCON institution, So we get feedback because we're not always that objective. We're mostly subjective. That we can weed out those anarthas. This anartha nivritti has to take place if we were to progress on the path of Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, if again in the name of spirituality, we start to develop this abhiman, this I am a teacher, I am a guru, I am a controller, I have a few keys on my keychain, I'm a signer on a few boards and on a few accounts. Then again, punar mushtika bhava. Again, you become a mouse. You know the story, right? Of the yogi and and the mouse, right? And that can happen to anyone. That's not just a nice story, a fairy tale for kids. That's a very powerful analogy. Not to fall into that trap, into that predicament. Now, if you're the type that has the ability to memorize and to follow many austerities and rules, all power to you. My respectful obeisances from all the 10 directions. But please don't become a prisoner of your own knowledge and your own punya, your own benefit. And understand that we're only aspiring to please Krishna. And what is Krishna pleased by? Pure devotion. Pure devotion. Anya vilashita shunyam jnana karmadyanavritam anukulyena krishnanu shilanam bhaktir uttamam. Hari Om Tat Sat. We got 2 minutes for comments, questions, and reflections. Because the battery is low. And it's Vadasi. And class should end early. Or on time. On Vadasi. And we're going on Harinam Sankirtan. So call all your 5,000 friends. Tell them to get downtown Paramaribo. We're going to be there at 10 o'clock sharp to do the Sankirtan Yagya, chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Ram. What is the austerity of fasting? What is the austerity of taking baths and chanting mantras? What is the austerity of sitting in between fires with the burning sun? Austerity of facing the music, facing the firing squad. You know, if you look down that big long barrel, that facing rejection, facing the ignorance, facing the indifference of the public. That is the real austerity. That is the real fire of sacrifice, of purification. And that is always available. The other stuff is mechanical. It's external. You can get used to it. You can train for it. But if somebody says, yeah, I want your book, but I'm not going to take it from you because I don't like the way how you talk to me. Ooh, ouch, ouch. Yes, I will give a donation at the temple, not to you. Don't be so pushy. If you wouldn't have asked, I would have given, but now I'm not giving. We have heard it all. And for a devotee, it's like water on the back of a duck. Is there a problem with water on the back of a duck? No problem, right? So, because the devotee doesn't identify himself with being the doer, being the controller, the enjoyer. For the devotee, it's, I'm the servant. Whichever way Krishna wants to play this, let's play. It's his game. I'm here to serve him. And that's how Krishna likes his devotees. Otherwise, it will take a long time. And we may get sidetracked. We may get captured by our achievements, by our promotions. Oh no, I can't surrender to Krishna. I got a promotion. You know how many devotees who, They wanted to go full time, and then the boss, the company said, "Oh, we'll give you a promotion. Okay, we want to retain you." Just like Sanatana Goswami, he was the minister. He was running the show, because the big boy, the big boss, he was out conquering and plundering and murdering and doing all the stuff that he did. So Sanatana was running the state. And it was not acceptable that he resigned. So he got into difficulty, but he was not fazed by that, because he had ekanta bhakti, exclusive devotion to Krishna. And that's why he attracted the attention and the empowerment of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Krishna Shakti Vinana Hetara Pravartan. It is Krishna's potency that is spreading this Krishna consciousness movement. It is not about the current incarnation of Bhakti Sibhushan, or the current incarnation of deity worship, or of Harinam, or of whatever. It is Krishna's potency. And if we don't recognize that, then Punar Mushti Kaba, again you become a mouse. Now even mice are benefited in the association of devotees, because there's prasad, there's mercy to be gained. Yes, sadhus. We are on 2%.
We had one, sometimes a spiritual master in Europe, because I saw one book, Varnashram Manifesto, it was Hari Media. I said, what happened? How is it possible that someone so exalted, and then there's no Krishna anymore in his life?
Pardon me?
No more Krishna.
Where no more Krishna? Oh no, Krishna is there, Krishna is in the mix, but people have the freedom to, little jiva has a little bit of free will. And that's just the facts of life. But Krishna says, everyone is on my path. Everyone is on my path. There is only one path. But some like to take the scenic route. Some like to go a little slower. Otherwise, others, they try to dash. It's up to the individual. It's up to us.
Some like to see it, right?
The scenic, scenic.
Yeah.
See places, go places. And let's stop here for a selfie, and let's stop there for a little picnic, and let's stop here for a little relaxation. But don't fall off the cliff or get caught by the wave. So there's danger. That's why we should not try to. No loitering. The sign at the convenience stores? No loitering. Don't loiter in the mature world. Last point?
Yes, about this, some devotees do whole sets of yesterday you were on the some they do whole sets. How?
Different ways. You cultivate people, they want to have the set.
Also not on the street.
Yeah, different ways. All our members should have a set. Most of our members, more than 90% of the ISKCON members don't have a full set. So that's a good market, wouldn't you agree? They're already chanting, they're already supposed to be reading. So, ensuring that our own devotees have the set. Charity starts at home. Otherwise, what are we trying to achieve? You can go to your industrialists and colleagues and contacts, and it's not a matter of money. It's a matter of taste. So we have to inspire taste. We have to induce people to get a little sample. Get a little sample, a molecule of taste. And that can lead to many, many wonderful things. There's many techniques. They used to sell standing orders to libraries and universities. You can, you can give seminars and then have everybody get a set. You have people who have the economic capacity, you have people who have a lot of interest, you have people, there's so many different varieties of how to sell sets. I used to have a godbrother in Austria, Haribolananda. He passed away. He only sold sets. He just went into offices with the box under his arm. And it was everything or nothing. And sometimes he used to sell 5 or 7 sets in a day. But I'd rather sell 100 books and have a lot of people get something. And then if the set goes out, fine, that's okay. But it's not really my main focus. You understand? It's a different strategy. But different people have different tastes. So there is variety in Krishna consciousness. It's not a one shoe size fits all, and everybody has to do what I do, and everybody has to become like me. Because that would be a very boring world if everybody would be like me. Of course, I wouldn't have any more dietary restrictions because everybody would eat the same thing that I do, right? That would simplify life. But that's not how the world works. So we can't impose our own taste or preferences or ideas onto others. That doesn't do justice to the individual. Have you ever heard somebody say, if you just do what I do, that would be perfect? No, then I would have the same problems like you. So we should feel free to emulate the good qualities and activities and example. And if there is something that's coming in, creeping in from secondary nature, from time, place, circumstance, from guna and karma, we should feel free to opt out, not to subscribe to that. And we're not here to convert people to become Hindus. We're here to inspire people to become lovers of Krishna. And to which church or temple or mosque or synagogue they go to, that is a detail. That is a detail. Prabhupada, when he got the Los Angeles temple, he said they should keep the pews, the benches, should keep them inside. Because it was, it was used like that before. Then of course the devotees ripped them out and changed everything. But Prabhupada said, yeah, everybody, all the neighborhood, they can come, they can keep their shoes on, can get in there and sit down and hear. So Prabhupada was not stereotyped. He was visionary. Anasakta visyayana tarabupayunchita nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagi muchyate prapanchikate abudya hari sambandhi vastuna mumukshubhi parityago vairagyum falgu katyate. Falgu. You know the Falgu river? Huh? You can't see it, because it's under the ground. So we shouldn't do external or superficial type of renunciation. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he rode in a limousine. He wore frock and leather padded shoes. Hare Krishna. Because he understood the principle of real vairagya. And the Babas in Radhakund were really shocked when they saw him arriving in an automobile. Because for them, that's a no-no. Books, no-no. All these things, no-no. But he showed what is true renunciation. So we should not imitate, we should not concoct, and we should not get deviated from our sole purpose of giving pleasure to Krishna. And as we heard last night, how do you give pleasure to Krishna? Nacha tasman manusheshu kashinme priyakritama. Help others, spread this movement. That is what makes Krishna happy. What is the most important verse of the Vedic literature? Sarira Dvideja Chadendriya Tarika. That is usually when people wake up, you know. No, yasyadeve para bhaktir yatadeve tata gurau tasyaiti katita hirta prakashanti mahamana. Whoever has his notifications on, please switch them off. It's distracting. So what does this verse say? That if you please Guru, then all the purports, all the Vedic teachings will become manifested, will become revealed in your heart. That's pretty nice, right? That's pretty nice. I was in Berkeley, in front of the university, and there was one gentleman, Goldman. He's teaching Sanskrit there since decades. He always wears this, you know, this Indian vest, the vest, you know, that they wear, like, looking like a pundit. He's favorable, he's a nice guy. But there's a lot of students who are interested in linguistics, so they go and learn Sanskrit. And if you talk to them, they have no clue about nothing. Like, they know a couple of words and a few, you know, roots and a few, but if you ask them, what is the purpose? Like, where does this whole thing lead? Where is this going? They'll say, purpose? There is a purpose to this? It's just linguistics, you know? Like, it's just academia. So don't get caught in your own mind, in your own concoction, because Krishna is only attracted by pure love. So thank you for your kind participation. Karantara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Krishna Sundabhyevcha, Patitana Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna.